What's going on, everybody? T Flame here, and today I'm going to be breaking down my thoughts on Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed. I just finished the DLC for Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and with that, this video is going to contain massive spoilers, but if you're watching this, you know that. But this really solidifies the end of a trilogy. Now, again, I'm going to say spoilers for pretty much all Xenoblade games. If you have not played the first two but are playing the first one, are playing this DLC, you need to play the first two games in order to understand 90% of everything going on in the DLC, which I like, because the first game, the Xenoblade 3, was definitely, the base game was for people who maybe have not played the first two games. This DLC, you need to play the first two games in order to understand it. Because if you play through this without playing the first two games, this is gonna seem like you're just not even missing a whole lot. Like, you're gonna gain close to nothing out of this. You really need to play the first two games. They do explain stuff from the first two games in this DLC, which I like. But wait, why the fuck am I talking spoilers? I'm talking about what you should do if you haven't played it. You're not here because you haven't played it. You're here because you beat it, right? So you watching this because you a Xenoblade fan. So let me stop. Let me stop with all the introductory BS, bro. This DLC was wild, to say the least. Xenoblade 3 had a lot of Xenoblade 2 references in it, especially seeing Rex and his kids. And it just felt like there were a lot of Xenoblade 2 references. The two blades from before the DLC, the two blades we got that were DLC blades, were both related to Xenoblade 2 references. For y'all Xenoblade 1 fans, Xenoblade 1 fans were eating in this DLC, bro. Let me tell y'all, bro. Before we got to Colony 9, right? I was just playing. Before we got to Colony 9, I heard when you went in the, I forget the part, but before you get to Colony 9, you get the OG battle music when you fight an enemy near the Colony 9. As soon as I heard that, I was like, hey, yo. And we got to Colony 9, and I was like, hey, yo. And then we found out that Shulk and Fiora were married because Dunban was his brother-in-law, and I was like, hey, yo. Anyway, that was one of the first big drops in this thing. And there's a bunch of lore that was hidden. And honestly, I think I need to rewatch the cutscenes to get everything. Because I know at some point at the end, you see it better in the end credits. But it's a see it if you miss it type thing. Because if Noah's fist, not Noah, Matthew's fist, when N is like, here's some power, his fist does a thing almost like the Lucky 7, but it has the Aegis core in it. That makes no kind of sense to me. I don't get it. If there was something else in... Now here's the thing. I gotta wait for Luxon and Enno and all them people to do their theory videos and explain to me how Matthew, who is a descendant of Rex, but he's a descendant of Mio, not an Aegis, how he has the freaking Aegis core crystal in his freaking fist, and that he uses that to defeat Console 8. Not to mention, we also see that Shulk got Alvis's core crystal, but part of me thinks the core crystal that fell was not Alvis. I think it was A's core crystal, so A would technically be Shulk's blade. I think that's my theory, but regardless, there was a whole lot, and this game basically served to give a little continuation as to what happened in 1 and 2, but really wrap up the whole Xenoblade 3 thing and tie up loose ends. People were saying, like, for me, I knew it was going to be a prequel from the beginning, just because a sequel would not make sense. If the worlds are separated, how the hell could you do that in a DLC game? Like, I was like, it'd be cool to have some Cavis and have some Agnes gameplay, but the thing is that you'd have two separate worlds, right? This is a $30 DLC. This is additional content. This isn't a whole new game. To have the two worlds separate, That would have to be its own game. So I knew it would have to be a prequel, and I think they do it well. I think the gameplay is nice. It's essentially the exact same thing as base 3. You just get some extra things here and there. I think the party you get access to is dope. I do have to say, the one critique I do have so far about the DLC that I'm gonna get into some of my other thoughts, but the you do need, this game is very, you don't necessarily need to complete side quests, but you should. Mainly because if you don't struggle, well, not even that, the in-game fights, there's not a lot of bosses in the game, but there is a shit ton of swarm fights. Like that's the one thing that in any Xenoblade game I don't like, when I'm fighting like 5 to 10 enemies at one time. And so you really got to prepare yourself for that, but that encourages you to explore. But the end game is really, you just need a whole bunch of items, which, so long as you're defeating monsters and exploring a little bit, you'll be good, but you really have to make sure you're exploring and everything. And I think, as much as that kind of irritated me when I was trying to get to the end game, and they're like, no, you need a black crystal, and then I get one, and then it's like, you need another black crystal to build another ether thing. Like, you're literally building, they introduced this building mechanic, which is cool in the world to reach inaccessible places, which I think is fine. But the end game, when it was that, after that, it reminded me of the end game of Xenoblade 2 with the field skills, and I hated that. And so, and with the items, I don't think there was a good item guide, so you really kind of just had to go around and look for some things. Like, ether cylinders are good to get, but black crystals, those are rare item drops, so you really got to look around if you don't have those. So that was my main gripe with the game. But back to some of the big spoiler things. I do gotta say, it's cool how they do the parent dynamic without, like, they explicitly mention how Shulk and Rex are parents, but they don't say, Shulk's not like, I'm a parent of Nicole, and then Rex is not like, I am Glimmer's dad, but it's clear that they are. We don't see Mithra's kid. What the fuck, bro? Damn. So we know. There was a couple, every time I saw a blonde character on screen, I'm like, that's Mithra's kid. But we will never know what Mithra's kid is unless they touch on it in Xenoblade 4. I'll say this. The ending of the game got me a little bit emotional. I didn't cry, not. But when you started seeing the gameplay of the first 2 games, that was solid. But we did not see the other characters. And I'm just thinking, like, okay, I get this was a DLC, but I was thinking at the end we could at least see Shulk go back to his family. Like at the end of 3, when we saw Nia look at the picture and see Poppy, we didn't see Poppy at all in this game. And I was thinking maybe we would see Rex go back and he would see Pyra, Mithra, and Nia, because we see at the end that the worlds do go back together. So we don't know how the fuck they go back together, but we know they get back together. But regardless, the ending of the game kind of implies that Shulk and Rex disappear at the end, but then they come back when the worlds separate. So then that would mean that, like, they went back to their families, essentially. I would just like to see Rex going back and seeing Pyra and Mithra. They don't even have to talk, but just seeing them, and then all their kids, and then seeing Fiora, and then all that, right? I wish we would have gotten to see Charla at least, because the daughter, we clearly have an idea that one of the characters is Charla's daughter. In the DLC, what is her name? Panacea. I keep thinking Pancreas, because her name is Panacea, but it looks like Pancreas. But that was my main gripe. When I was, like, done with it, and I saw the worlds come together, and there's a time where the worlds are, like, together, and you see this shooting star in the corner. I was thinking it's just going to show a little bit, but it didn't. And that's the main thing that I kind of I didn't like. I love seeing Shulk and Rex, don't get me wrong, and I love the callbacks that they did, but I really just wanted to see, like, 2 seconds of Rex going back to his family and Shulk going back to his family. Like, that's all I mean, that's the number one thing I wanted in this DLC, and the fact that we didn't get it was kind of like, you know, like, I'm surprised we didn't see Pyra Mithra at all. Like, no, I knew going into this we weren't going to see every character. But we did get mentions of quite a few characters, but some things was just, we see more Ardane in the distance multiple times, and we don't get a reference to, that was pretty much our only Morag reference, I think. Now, there's probably other references if you do side quests. I did a few. I do not do side quests unless I need EXP to level up. Um, but I just really wanted to see more of them. Like, there's a lot of like the like it's in Xenoblade. There's a lot of implied things that go without saying. Like, there's a lot of things that are implied without explicitly saying, but that's all right. But the thing is, some things that are just like, there was a lot of like implicit things in this game rather than like actually physically showing. The biggest showing is the worlds going back together, right? But the biggest thing that's implicit is like some of the things that could have just been shown in 2 seconds. Like, it's implied that Shulk and Rex are dead kind of at the end of the game, but then after the events of 3, when the worlds get fixed, that they would essentially go back to when Glimmer and Nicole were their actual kids. We didn't get that. And that's just kind of like, I don't really vibe with that. I don't really vibe with that. But the DLC, that does, don't get me wrong. I think the DLC is solid. I think it's fun. Like, I literally have just no lifed it for the past like 2 days. I played it when it came out, then all day yesterday, and I just finished it like this morning. So I literally just no lifed it. It was a fun couple days experience, but the main thing is like now the trilogy is complete. It's gonna be a minute before we get Xenoblade 4, and I like that they gave us a lot. There is a lot, I think, that is left to us to speculate and to talk about, because there was a whole lot in this DLC in terms of lore and world building. So I can't be that upset at it, but I do gotta say though, it's cool to get all the lore stuff, but a lot of the things that people are playing this game for was to get callbacks and things like that. So I just wish there was just a little bit more. Like, I really wanted to see Pyra and Mithra, bruh. Like, I just really wanted to see both of them, and it's like I don't know, like because they mentioned them as like, it'd be like Rex says multiple times, it'd be great if they were here, and they're not. But it's like, why aren't they there? Now I guess there's probably some read between the lines thing, but I'm just like, it would have been nice to see them, like, or something like that. Unless, like, I don't even know. Did M take the Aegis Core Crystal, and because I don't know. Like, I just wish we got to see him, like, because it'd make a lot of sense. Like, because that's the main thing that was, like, questioning in 2 is, like, and questioning in 3 is, like, where's Pyra and Mithra? Because if they were in here, like, and Rex's swords are replicas, they're not the actual swords, because we see Nia with the actual weapons. But it's like, does Nia just become the Aegis? No, that doesn't work like that, because she doesn't have the Aegis Core Crystal. But anyway, yeah, as you can see, I'm kind of confused about the DLC. Like, it gives me, like, at the end of the day, the main takeaway is that we saw what happened before, and then we saw that after what happens, right? Matthew goes out on his own, and we know he's House Van Dam because he says Matthew Van Dam at the end, right? So we know that everyone's the founder. So we know that Panacea, and then the other one that is clearly, I think both of them are supposed to be clearly daughters of other people, because Panacea clearly looks like Charlotte, and then the other one is clearly the one that's under Rex that calls him boss is clearly Zeke and Pandoria's kid. So I guess that was the callback. But I'm like, why couldn't we just see it? Like, how hard would it be to like have Rex go back and just see everybody together? Like, just reuse old models, I guess. But anyway, or maybe like a newer picture with Pandoria and Bridget holding babies. Like, I mean, but also I think Bridget mainly because I think Senna is Bridget and the Geon's daughter, maybe question mark. But yeah, I don't know. I gotta sit on it. I did not take my time to eat this. I just ate it real fast. I actually just finished eating too. I literally finished and made some cinnamon rolls and then had some chili dog. Anyway, I need some time to sit and reflect, and mainly I need my friend Project Zodiac, because he's the one who got me into Xenoblade. I need him to finish it. So that way we can talk, because he understands lore and Xenogears and because he's played Xenosaga, Xenogears, and all that. I haven't. Honestly, I don't know if I will. Because I mean, the only turn-based RPG I like is Pokemon, but I do want to get into Fire Emblem because I have a JRPG shaped hole in my little whatever shaped heart. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on Xenoblade 3 DLC. I know I said spoilers is the end of a trilogy. You really get the vibes that this is a trilogy. I mean, especially because you know it's like the end of a trilogy when in the credits, the first thing you see is they do a montage of Xenoblade 1 and then a montage of Xenoblade 2. And then you see Matthew's fist that has the Aegis Core Crystal, which shit still doesn't make fucking sense to me, to be honest. I'm sorry. But, yeah. It really, like, it hit me at the end that, like, hey, yo, it's gonna be a minute till we see another one. But it's still dope. It was, like, this is definitely a cool, solid trilogy. Like, if I really gotta tell people, if you in anime, well, you gotta play Xenoblade, because there's so many anime tropes in it. Granted, Xenoblade 2 was the main anime one. Xenoblade 3 was not that anime-y. But yeah, in terms of all of what I would rank, I don't know. I think it's hard to rank the games because they all are like different in their own way. But now they came together. I enjoyed playing through 3 the most. I will say that. I'm not saying it's my favorite, but the gameplay was the easiest to understand. And I grasped it the most. So Xenoblade 3 was I loved playing it the most, just the gameplay wise. But holistically, I don't know about that one. But that's a topic for another video. This has been my little spoiler talk about Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed. I didn't really have a structure to this video. This is just my first thoughts and the spoilers and everything like that. Review, I guess, kind of spoiler review. Because I'm not going to do a spoiler-free review because I'm not some sort of game site that can profit off of that, because I don't know. I don't want to take my thoughts and censor them no, I don't want to censor my thoughts, because I don't know how to do that. Well, I do, but anyway. I'll see you on the next video. It was fun. I like this game. I still like it. I got my gripes, but that doesn't detract from the fact that I still think it's a solid game. I definitely recommend. I think it's solid. I do think you could also cutscene the game, though. If you want to watch through all the cutscenes, I think it'd be good. If you didn't want to pay for it and want to be a cheap ass. But anyway, I'll see you on the next video. Peace.